This video is for those of you who have shoulder tension or pain, be it a rotator cuff condition, impingement, frozen shoulder. I recommend that you do see a doctor for any of those conditions. And after you have had the okay from your doctor to continue your regular exercise, this would be a great video to start with. Or if you've done a series of physical therapy sessions and your physical therapist has given you the okay to head out into the world and go back into your exercise, then this would be a great spot to start. Kind of that spot between physical therapy and back to your regular full-on workouts. So we are going to start today with a small ball. It's not weighted. So any ball in your house, it doesn't have to be this size, but something that's very light, something that's squishy will do. And the first couple exercises are for those of you who are still experiencing a great deal of shoulder pain with your movement and range of motion. And I recommend that you just stick with the first couple and come back to it each day until you feel well enough to continue on with some of the other weighted exercises. So go ahead and find a small ball and a free wall. My studio is very small, so this is the only free wall that I have. I'm going to have you standing to the side of that wall. Grab that ball and with one hand hold on to it, and you're going to place the ball on the wall a little bit ahead of your body. So good rule of thumb here is I don't want to be way up high, okay? If you're in pain putting it shoulder height, go a little bit lower, right? Anytime you get pain lifting that arm up, just let it come down below the shoulder level. Your palm is just going to be resting lightly on that ball, and I just want you to do small little circles. Your elbow is bent, shoulders are relaxed, and you're just being nice and tall with your spine, and small little circles. The circles should be coming from your upper arm bone. It should not be coming from your hand or your wrist, as I'm doing right here, if you can see that. Keep your hand and your wrist soft and make the circle come from your arm bone itself, the upper arm bone. So we're just drawing little circles inside of your shoulder socket. And this may be your exercise, right? If you're coming off of a big shoulder injury or surgery and you're just now given the okay to do your movement, maybe you just start with this every day. Okay, and let's switch the direction. Same arm, just switch the direction of the circle. And can you allow your shoulder girdle to do this movement? So the shoulder blade can move around, allow it to move around on the ribs, and allow the arm bone to move. So we're trying to just get some movement deep up inside that shoulder cuff. Let's do two more, just a nice little circle. And then release, shake it out. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So even though maybe it's just one shoulder, I still want to be equal on both sides. So stepping away from the wall a little bit, hand just rests on that ball and just do some shoulder circles. And so I like to do both sides, even though most of the time if we have a shoulder injury, it's usually one side, not both at the same time. But it's really good to feel what the movement feels like on the side that works properly in alignment, and then you can compare it to the side that maybe is a little injured and not moving as well as the other side. So it kind of tells your body, gives you feedback of where you need to get to. And once we feel it on the side that works really well, we can then try to retrain that into the other side. Let's go the other direction. And you certainly feel free to pick the ball up and move it if it's sliding around on you. Just find a comfortable spot. Never work through pain, remember. So if it's painful to have your arm up this high, let's go a little bit lower, right? You can do circles down here. And remember, the ball is always ahead of you. I don't want it to be directly to your side, because that's asking for a lot of that shoulder if it has an injury. And I definitely don't want it behind you, right? So we did circles both directions. And now what I'm going to have you do is actually face the wall. We'll go back to your other arm, shake out that arm. Face the wall straight on, soft elbow, and you're going to do little circles straight on. This might be a little bit easier bringing the ball ahead of you, right? And so again, you can have the ball down here, right? Or shoulder height. Either way, your elbow is soft and you're circling from your arm bone and your shoulder blade. Go the other direction and just feel the shoulder blade move with that ball. Feel the whole arm bone and shoulder blade just circle around with the ball with your hand. And then you can release, shake it out, and we'll do the other side. So left hand on the ball on the wall, be nice and relaxed. Try not to squish the ball to the wall. We're nice and relaxed and just draw some circles, small little circles. Keeping your shoulders melting down from your ears, softening that elbow, and just feeling, bringing your mind deep up inside of that shoulder cuff and just feeling all those small little movements. And then go the other direction. Nice little circles. Feel that arm bone just stirring inside of your shoulder cuff. And then go ahead and release, shake it out. So definitely that's a good one to do every day as long as you don't feel pain. I'm going to give you one more against the wall here, and then we're going to go onto our backs and do a little bit more of a workout with maybe a light set of weights. So coming back to your side, your fingertips are going to be along the wall, but I want them to be in front of your body again, okay? And with your whole hand and fingertips nice and lightly on that wall, I just want you to walk your fingertips up like the itsy bitsy spider. So just carefully keep all 5 fingertips on, and as you get up higher than your shoulder, feel the shoulder blade melt down. And now with your fingertips, just walk all the way down and just feel the shoulder continue to melt. And so when we lift the arm up, what I don't want to see is your shoulder hiking up to your ear. I want you to feel the shoulder blade melt down as your arm gets up, and go to your range of motion that you do not feel pain, remember. Okay, so the arm doesn't have to be straight at any time. As you walk up, feel how the shoulder blade just melts down the back side of your ribs like it's going to melt into your back pocket. And then as you come down, soften your elbow, soften the shoulder down from your ear. So the wrong way, if you can see my right shoulder, is to lift up the wall with your shoulder. Can you see how it's kind of creeping to my ear? That is the wrong way. Okay, so let's do one more time. As the arm bone lifts, your shoulder melts down the back of your ribs like butter. And then you slowly walk it back down. Good, shake it out, and let's switch to the other side again. So my left hand's gonna be on the wall, elbow is soft. My hand's a little bit ahead of my body, and I'm just gonna walk it up and feel the shoulder melt down as I do. And then soften the elbow, feel that upper arm bone, and feel the shoulder blade just melt down as you walk down that wall like the itsy bitsy spider. Do that again, find your own range of motion. Maybe this side is your non-injured side, and it feels really good, really free, right? And just bring that into your mind, bring that into your body to know that someday the other side is going to feel the same way, okay? And sometimes we want to start with our side that is injury-free, so that when we do the movement on that injury-free side, the other side, we can kind of remember what it should feel like, right? That's always a good thing, to one half the body train the other half. Let's do that one more time. Just like the itsy bitsy spider, all 5 fingertips walk up and all 5 fingertips melt down. And so now, same thing as we did with the ball, we're going to face the wall, going back to the other arm again. The hand is going to start right about underneath the shoulder, and the elbow is soft. And as you lift the hand up the wall, feel how the shoulder blade melts and drapes down the back side of the body. And then bend your elbow, slowly bring the hands back down. Let's do that again 2 more times. As the arm goes up, feel that rotation. Feel the shoulder blade melt to your back pocket. It's draping down the back of your ribs like butter. And then itsy bitsy spider all the way back down. So if you remember in the tutorial, we talked about the head of the arm bone being a flashlight. So right here in this position, the flashlight is shining up to the ceiling because the flashlight's ahead of our arm bone. As we walk our fingertips up the wall rather, the head of the arm bone is gently starting to twist and rotate. So now the head of the arm bone, the flashlight, is looking down to the floor. Okay, can you feel that rotation in your own body? And then once we get down, we'll go to the other side, left hand on the wall, same thing. You can even take your right hand and place it on your left shoulder as a gentle reminder to let that shoulder just melt down as your arm goes up. And you should be able to feel that, right? I don't want you to jam anything down. Don't push or force it down. As your fingertips walk up the wall, feel with your right hand, feel how it just melts down gently like butter down the back of your ribs. And slowly all 5 fingertips walk back down. Good. Do that 2 more times. As you walk the fingertips up, feel in your own body. That right hand is on your shoulder for a reason. Feel how that shoulder blade melts down from your hand, melts down from your ears, and slowly walk that hand back down. Let's do 1 more. Shoulder blade melts down your back as your arm slowly lifts up. Feel that rotation inside of your shoulder cuff, and slowly walk it on back down and release. Give yourself a big shoulder roll. So again, you can feel free to just stick with those 2 exercises if you're feeling a little leery of going on with bigger movements. And I will say, if you're freshly coming out of an injury, out of PT or surgery, you don't want to lift your arms up in space, right? That's why we're using a wall, is to have the hand rest on a wall because it gives you support. This arm hanging out in space is a lot for our little shoulder muscles to hang on to if you have an injury. And if you add something heavy to that, like a dumbbell, it's going to be even harder. So when you're retraining those small stabilizer muscles to work for you, you don't want to hold your arm out in space with a weight or even without weight, because the bigger muscles are going to take over, right? But if you support your hand against a wall and then move the arm and shoulders, you will be able to tap into those smaller stabilizer muscles. It's really important that you start back at phase 1. So feel free to stick to these 2 wall exercises for a good couple weeks every day. Just a couple minutes a day is all you need. From here, we're going to go to the mats. If you're ready to add on and continue, just follow me. Okay, so I transitioned to the mat, and in doing so, I decided not to use weights for the rest of the video. I want to really get back down to basics and start you off on the absolute right track with alignment and movement before adding any type of 1 or 2 pound weights to your arms, to your hands, right? We don't need to do that. And so I'll save that for the next video. So going all the way back to just the function of the shoulder and movement of the shoulder, I want you to lie down and notice where your shoulder blades are in space, right? Do they pop up? And what I'm going to have you do is take your right hand and place it on your left shoulder, just for feedback. Now take that right hand and push your shoulder blade to the floor and notice what just happened, and then back up. So do that a couple more times. Take that right hand, the fingertips, and gently just push and guide the shoulder blade back to the floor and let it pop back up. 1 more time. Those fingertips gently just guide the shoulder blade back to the floor, and just notice that when you laid down, most likely your initial tendency was to have the shoulder blade pop up, right? And so we're lying down for a reason. Gravity is going to help us here. Sometimes when we sit up, we don't know where our body is in space. We don't know where our shoulders are in space. So lying down and letting gravity helps us, right? Let's rest our right arm down, left hand to the fingertips, and now lift the right shoulder blade up. You can see how it's popping up. Your left fingertips are going to actually push and show that shoulder blade and arm bone where it should be on the mat, and then push it back up, okay? Left fingertips, push the shoulder blade just lightly. I mean, we're not shoving or anything. We're just showing it where it should be. 1 more time. Let the shoulder blade pop back up, and then take your fingertips and glide the shoulder blade and arm bone back down. So it's important to note that not only is our shoulder blade melting down, but our arm bone is melting down as well. Okay, so let's go back over to the other side. So let's bend our left elbow. The left elbow's on the mat. Right fingertips come to the left shoulder. Now I want you to pretend that this upper arm bone is a teeter-totter. It's really easy to lift our elbow up with our bicep and chest muscle, but think about this. I want you to lift the arm bone up by gliding the shoulder blade down to the mat. Think of that teeter-totter and release. So your right fingertips are going to gently push and glide the shoulder blade to the mat, and that's what lifts your left elbow up to a hover, and then release the elbow down. Right hand gently pushes on the left shoulder to the floor as the left elbow floats up. Do that a couple times. I know this is kind of goofy, so just think about it. Right hand, if your arm is a teeter-totter, think of your right hand as being a little kid. It's going to sit on your shoulder, and if and when that little kid sits on your shoulder, the opposite end of the arm will lift like a teeter-totter and then release back down. Now, can you feel that rotation that you're creating inside of your shoulder cuff? Now, we did this in our tutorial. Remember the tutorial when we added in that rotation of the arm bone? So allow the shoulder blade to melt, allow the elbow to lift. Let's go further. Lift the arm over, maybe chest height, and then release the elbow back down. Your elbow stays bent, but as the shoulder melts down, you should feel that arm bone rotate and carve out the shoulder cuff and then release it back down. Do that one more time. Right hand gently glides the shoulder blade to the floor. The left elbow lifts and you should feel that rotation. You're carving out that shoulder cuff with your arm bone and then release it back down. Let's go to the other side. I'm going to give you a different analogy. The analogy of your arm bone being a flashlight. We're working on the right side though. So left hand is going to gently rest on your right shoulder. Think of your right arm bone as being a flashlight. Okay, so right now that flashlight should be looking up to your ear. As you gently press that right shoulder blade down and the elbow lifts up, you're going to twist that arm bone so the flashlight looks or shines to the floor, and then you release that arm down. Do that again. So think of your left hand, push gently down into the shoulder so the shoulder melts to the floor. That floats that right elbow up. And notice that rotation that you're getting in your shoulder cuff. And then release the elbow all the way back down. So right now the flashlight is shining up to your earlobe. When you rotate the arm bone, the head of the flashlight should be shining to the floor. And then release back. Let's do that 2 more times. Think of that teeter-totter analogy. The little kid's going to sit on your shoulder. That's what pops that elbow up, floats it up, and then back down 1 more time. The shoulder blade melts down to the ground, and then you float that elbow up. Now, in our last tutorial, the shoulder girdle tutorial, we talked about your serratus anterior. We should be using that right now. And if you forgot about it, this is a good time to bring it back in. Take your right hand and wrap it around the sides of your rib cage. That's where your serratus is. So again, that muscle attaches to your shoulder blade. Bend your left elbow. Now flex your wrist like you're holding on to a tray with your hand, with your palm. I want you to pretend like that tray is a couple pounds, right? Melt the shoulder down and feel how that pushes your palm to the sky, and then release. This is very small work. So take your right hand, place it on your shoulder, the front of the shoulder, front of the chest. Melt the shoulder blade down, and that pushes and shoves your palm, your flat palm, to the ceiling. Feel like you're pushing the ceiling away. You're pushing it up, and release. Now look closely. We're not pushing the ceiling up because of our chest muscle, because we're shoving our shoulder forward. We're pushing the ceiling up because of the rotation that we're creating in our shoulder socket. Now take your right hand, put it back on your serratus, back on the sides of the ribs. Do the same thing. Push the palm of your sky to the ceiling like you're pushing the ceiling away, and then come back down. Now we're not straightening the arm. The elbow stays bent. We're just pushing as if your palm is going to push the ceiling up higher. And now feel that come from that serratus, the sides of your ribs, the back side of your body. You're pushing from your palm and elbow, and then release. Do that 1 more time. Feel like you're going to shove the ceiling up from your palm and your elbow, and release it down. Other side. Bend your elbow, hold on to that tray right on top of your palm. Left hand wraps around your ribs. Okay, find that serratus there, glide that shoulder down. Know that that muscle's there, just touch it and feel it, right? That's where the push is gonna come from. And now take that same left hand and place it on the top of your chest and shoulder area. Now melt the chest down, melt the shoulder down to push the palm up to the sky, and then rebend the elbow. Do that again. Left fingertips gently guide that shoulder down as the elbow floats up, and release. So feel that rotation of that arm bone just carving out the shoulder cuff as you push up just a couple inches. 2 more times like this with our hand on our shoulder, the front of the shoulder. Feel that rotation deep inside the shoulder cuff. Do 1 more. Push the ceiling away with your palm. Good. Now the right arm is going to continue to do the same thing. The left arm is going to wrap around your ribs. Find that muscle, the serratus, right on the side of your rib cage. The right arm is going to do the exact same thing. Now push with your palm and feel the side of your body, the serratus, and then release. The palm is going to push the ceiling away and release. Now, not only thinking of the palm, think of your elbow sweeping and cupping and pushing up to the sky. Let's do that 2 more times. Feel the rotation of your arm bone in the shoulder. And if this isn't making sense, no worries, right? I'm going to have other exercises within this video that might trigger that muscle, that rotation. And release. Shake it out. Arms come down by your side. Roll your head from right to left. All right, so we're going to do some scissors of the arms. Let's take your right hand again, place it on your shoulder. Sometimes feeling the muscles and feeling how your body works is the best way for rehab and to really get your body moving the way it should. So right fingertips on the front of your shoulder. I want you to melt the shoulder down, and as you do, that left arm is going to lift straight up over your chest and then melt it back down. So now we're working with a straight arm. But when you lift, the arm isn't lifting from lifting the shoulder up, right? The arm is actually lifting because your shoulder is melting down and rotating. So if you look at me, the rotation is happening from the shoulder blade and arm bone. Right? So your right hand is gently gliding the shoulder blade down to the floor as you float the arm up. And I want you to pretend like the arm is light as a feather. Soften your hand, soften your elbow. It's not about a stick straight arm. So try not to hold tension by really straightening that arm. If you can, we're going to go further. If you can do this without pain, you're going to continue to reach the arm back overhead only as far as you can go. You don't have to touch the mat, and then come all the way back down. So you listen to your body. Maybe you go halfway, and maybe each time you can get a little further without pain. The goal is not to shrug or tense this upper part of your neck and shoulder. So as you lift the arm overhead, that relaxes. Your shoulder blade melts down your back. Feel the shoulder blade melt down so you can get that rotation of the arm bone. If your shoulder blade is stuck up to your ear, you're not going to get very far, right? So as the arm lifts, feel the shoulder blade melt down to your back pocket. Soften your elbow, soften your hand. That will help. And let's go on to the other side. So right arm down, left hand touches your left shoulder. Now press your left shoulder down into the mat gently as the right arm just magically floats up just over chest height, and then release it back down. Again, shoulder blade melts down to the floor and down to your back pocket as the arm lifts, and just really bring your mind into that shoulder cuff. So as you float the arm up, feel that rotation. Think of the head of that flashlight again. The head of the flashlight when your arm is down is pointing up to your earlobe. The head of the flashlight when your arm is over your chest should be pointing to the ground, right? So feel that rotation. And now let's take it a little further if you can. Maybe it's just an inch further. That's fine. Anywhere that you can go without pain is good in my book. So the shoulder melts down. Feel the shoulder blade melt down your back rib cage like butter. Now be careful as you get further and further overhead that you don't tense the top of your shoulder or chest muscles, right? Relax into it. Soften the hand, soften the elbow. Let the shoulder blade just melt down your back. And with the soft hand and soft elbow, it's going to soften your shoulder girdle as well, right? Try to relax the ribs, relax the neck, relax the jaw, so no tensing. Let's do that one more time. So you're going to lift up and all the way back. And then back down to your sides. Shake it out. So if you experience pain in any of that movement, maybe you want to go back to just keeping your hand and arm secure on the wall, the first 2 exercises that we started with. Now from here, let's go ahead and bend your elbows. Elbows are on the ground. We're going to do a little bit of external rotation. Okay, so the right hand, the right fingertip again, fingertips are going to come onto your left shoulder. This is all just body awareness. Let's rotate, but we're going to rotate outward. We're externally rotating and then pull back up. So you should feel with your fingertips on the front of your shoulder, you should feel that rotation, all those little ligaments that are twisting and kind of rotating around with that arm bone. So your shoulder blade doesn't really have a lot of movement here. I don't want you to scrunch the shoulder blades together on your back. So it's not about scrunching the upper and middle back. In fact, your shoulder blades should be relaxed. You should feel your upper and middle back relaxed on the mat. There's no scrunching, no retraction. It's literally your arm bone twisting inside of your shoulder cuff. And just play around with your fingertips, just kind of feeling that happen. And just check in with your body. Did your shoulder blade creep up again? Right? If it did, melt it back down, keep it down as you twist. So that's another rotation of our shoulder cuff. Okay, let's do that same thing on the other side. Right elbow down, left fingertips go to the right shoulder. Melt the shoulder down first. Just let it melt, let it relax. Don't push it, just let it relax. And now twist the right arm out. This is external rotation and back up. And notice a difference. Think about where your shoulder blades touch the floor. Does one shoulder blade poke into the floor and maybe the other one doesn't, right? When you're doing this, notice the difference between sides. You can switch back and forth from right to left and just take note of what your body does. If you feel that you're scrunching your middle back or feel that you're scrunching your neck, feel if your shoulder blade pops up at a certain point, right? Feel if your arm bone pops up to the sky, and just play around with your range of motion. Never work to pain or through pain. Just find a nice range of motion that you can do comfortably and release it up. Relax both arms down by your side, palms down. Let's just do a little elevation and depression. Just lift your shoulder blades up to your earlobes and glide your shoulder blades down to your heels. Do that again. Shrug the shoulder blades up to your earlobes and glide them down to your heels. One more time. Shrug them up and release them down. Good. Float the left arm up to the sky. Your right hand, just for feedback, is going to hold on to your left wrist or arm wherever you can. Think of this left arm being a fence post going right down into the dirt, right down into the floor. That right arm is going to pull the left arm out of the dirt and now melt and push that left arm back into the dirt. So the right arm is just there kind of for fun, just for some support and feedback. So you're going to pull the left arm out of the dirt, out of your shoulder cuff, and then glide that left arm bone back into the dirt, back into your shoulder cuff. So you should feel the arm bone lifting up, the shoulder blade pulling around to the sides of your ribs. Feel the shoulder blade melt back down to the back of your rib cage. Feel the arm bone push back into the back part of your shoulder cuff. Lift up one more time and melt it back down and switch arms. So that left hand is going to hold on just for support. It's just giving your right arm a little bit more support. You will need that if you have an injury. You'll feel it. Let's lift that right straight arm bone up and then melt the right straight arm bone down. Now be very careful that when you're doing this, we don't start creeping that shoulder blade up to your earlobe. So remember where that serratus anterior is, right? Try to tap into that muscle to glide the shoulder blade down. Even your lats help glide the shoulder blade down. The lats attach to your shoulder blades and go all the way down to your low back. So those muscles, your lats, should help glide the shoulder blades down from your ears. One more time, pull that fence post out of the dirt and melt the fence post back into the dirt. And so when we're holding weights or when we're holding anything in our arms, whether it's a small child or picking up grocery bags or whatever you can think of, we don't want our arms to be outside of our shoulder cuff, right? We want to melt the shoulders back securely on the back of our ribs and melt those arm bones into the shoulder cuff so we're strong and supportive there. So just know where you are here and take that with you when you're standing or sitting in space, right? Rest both arms all the way down by your sides. Shake out the shoulders. Let's do a couple shoulder rolls. And now we're just going to finish with some arm circles. And arm circles are a big range of motion, right? If you're just coming off of an injury, we want to keep your range of motion really small. So maybe you want to skip the circles until you're feeling better, or make the circles a lot smaller where you don't feel any tension or pain. Right fingertips come to your left shoulder blade just for that feedback. You're going to lift that left arm up just the same as we did before. Melt the shoulder blade down. If you can, reach overhead with a soft elbow, soft hand. Circle around and down to your hip. Feel that rotation inside of your shoulder cuff, right? Feel like you're making guacamole with your arm bone, just like a mortar and pestle. We're circling around deep inside of that shoulder cuff. Or think of an ice cream scoop. Your upper arm bone is the ice cream scooper, and you're just scooping out that shoulder cuff. Let's go the other direction. You go out, lift up, keep your hand and elbow soft, and down. So as you go out, feel that rotation of your arm, the whole arm. So listen closely. Your palm is towards your hip right now when your arm is down. Palm faces in. As you circle out, your palm rotates to the sky. As you go all the way overhead, your palm rotates in towards your head. So palm faces your ear, and then back up and down. It's pretty important. Do that again. So your palm faces your hip. As you circle out, your palm faces the sky. As you circle overhead, the palm turns in from the whole arm, not just the wrist, and down. Now let's do the other arm. Left fingertips on your right shoulder. Let's circle. Lift the arm up. The palm faces inward into your body. You reach back overhead with the soft elbow. Good. Now circle around. The palm faces the sky. And as you come in, the palm faces your hip. Make sure that rotation is coming from your upper arm bone, not just the wrist. Feel that rotation. That's what your left hand is for, just resting on the front of your shoulder cuff. Do that one more time. You lift up, reach it back, shoulder melts down, circle it around, and back down. Now other direction, same arm. The palm starts facing your hip. You circle it out, the palm rotates to the ceiling. You circle it all the way overhead, the palm rotates inward and lift it up and back down. 2 more times. Circle it out, palm to the sky. Feel that rotation. Feel the shoulder melt down as your arm goes overhead. Arm lifts and down. 1 more time. As that arm gets higher overhead, the shoulder melts lower down to your back pocket and all the way down, and rest. Both arms down. Give yourself a big shoulder roll. We're going to end with that today. And if you experience absolutely no pain through the entire video, then I would recommend that you can go on to the next video of our shoulder girdle with weights. If you did experience pain anywhere in that video, remember, take the range of motion down and really be mindful of where the pain is coming from, and try not to lock up when you feel pain. Don't tense. Just release, shake it out, and get back into that alignment, and just know where you are in space. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.